There were a lot of people throughout history who claimed to be prophets of God or said that they had new revelation from God. So, why do we believe Noah, Moses, Abraham, Elijah, Daniel, and Samuel when they said they were prophets, but not some other people who claim to have revelation from God, like the Gnostics or writers of books that weren't accepted as part of the Bible, like the Gospel of Thomas? It's not just about who claimed it the loudest. There were actual tests for true prophets. For example, did what they say actually come true? Noah proved that he really did hear from God about building a boat when the flood actually came. 2, did their message lead people closer to God? See, there were some people in Pharaoh's court, for example, who could do magic, but they told Pharaoh that he was a god and that people should bow down to him instead of the creator. Number 3, did their lives reflect God's character? Some so-called prophets told people to worship other gods, which directly went against what God himself said when he gave the Ten Commandments. These false prophets encouraged things like temple prostitution and even throwing babies into a fire, which completely contradicted God's own claims that he is love and that he desires purity. God taught things about himself directly, not even using a prophet, to about 1 million people all at once through a voice. At Mount Sinai, not long after the Israelites were delivered from Egypt, God spoke directly to the people, not through a prophet, but to about 1 million people all at once with his own voice. Before God ever gave the Ten Commandments to Moses in written form, he first spoke them out loud to the entire nation with thunder, smoke, and the sound of a trumpet. The people heard his voice declare his law. They were terrified, and they gave an audible commitment saying, "Yes, we will obey you." And then they begged Moses to go up to the mountain and speak to God on their behalf because they said, "Don't let God speak to us anymore or we will die." Exodus 20:19. So from that point forward, God spoke to Moses, but not because God was hiding. It was because the people literally asked for a mediator. God made his nature and his commandments undeniably clear from the very beginning. And that's the standard that every future prophet had to align with. This is the biggest marker, hear me on this, an indicator. Did their message line up with what God had already revealed through previous prophets? God never left a core component of his message in the hands of just one person. So if you have 30 prophets that all point to the same God, the same truth, the same unfolding story, and then one person shows up saying something that flies in the face of the other 30, that is a major red flag because God doesn't contradict himself. He builds on himself.